Hey Laser Lab rotation students, I'm going to be showing you how to do our medallion by moving our files that we started on Canva. We have 3 different pages on Canva. One has the title of the award, the other one has a logo, and the last one has a description which will be engraved on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. So go to Share, Download, PNG file, and when you do that, it turns it into a zip file that you're downloading. Now, you're going to have to go ahead and find that downloaded file. It's probably going to be in your downloads. I'm using a Mac right here, so that's how I get to my downloads, but hopefully you know how to find your downloads on your PC as well. So once you download it, you'll notice that it downloads as a zip file. So we need to extract it by either double clicking or right clicking and hitting extract all, and then you will extract that zip file into turn into 3 separate PNG files. You can rename the folder so it'll be easier to find. I like to keep things on my desktop when I need to find them quickly. So now I'm back in Illustrator, and in Illustrator I'm going to make sure that my units of measurement are set to inches. I'm going to make sure that my width is set to 10 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And then I'm going to rename my file, my name Medallion, so that I can, when I send it, it'll be easy for me to know what I'm looking at. So this is what your canvas should look like. And so now we're ready to go open up those 3 separate PNG files that I just extracted onto my desktop. So if I go onto my desktop, you'll see in that folder that I just renamed, you'll see 3 different PNG files. I'm going to open it 3 times. So I'm going to go File, Open, and make sure that I open each of those 3 PNG files separately. And you notice as there are all these tabs in my Adobe Illustrator, so there are a total of 4 tabs. So each one of those is a different layer that we're going to add to our medallion. So now we're ready to go make the circle cut shapes. So I'm just going to drag out a circle by using my shape tool. If it's set at a rectangle, remember to right click it and then you can find the ellipse. I'm going to make sure that it has no fill, and we're going to look at the stroke. The stroke's going to be red colored stroke. Don't worry about the exact stroke or red. These are usually something that I fix on my machine before I send it to the laser cutter. So if you do have the option to RGB color it, then the red that I'm looking for is actually 25500. But again, I'm not that concerned about you putting the exact red color, because that's something that I can change as I get ready to send it to the laser cutter. So what does matter is that you put in the right dimensions. So this should be a 4x4 diameter circle, and then on top of that I'm going to put a 1x1 inch diameter circle, and then I'm going to make sure that that 1 inch circle is centered along the top of my other larger circle. And after that, we're going to go and drag out yet a 3rd circle. So this is where we're going to put our keychain or our necklace through. And this one's going to be a 0.5 by 0.5 half-inch circle. So if you choose your black selection tool, you can perfectly center that circle inside of that other circle. So 3 circles in total. If I go to my layers panel, I can see that there are only 3 layers. You should not have more than 3 layers. If you have more than 3 layers, you should clean up and delete any layers that we don't need. For right now, I'm going to take out that half-inch circle by just clicking on the eyeball, which makes it disappear. And then I'm going to unite that using Pathfinder Unite. If I bring that circle back, that's what we should be looking at. Remember that we're doing this in 2 layers, so you're going to have the front and the back layer. So if I do Control C, Control V, I can copy paste 1, 2 of those, and now I've got one that's going to be on the front and one that's going to be on the back. I can click on the eyeballs to see what's what, and then what I want to do is right click on this and then group it, and then I'm going to rename this the front, and then I'm going to select all these shapes on the right hand side. I'm going to group those, and I'm going to call this, double click in my layers panel, I'm going to call this the back, just so I can keep my layers organized and I know what I'm looking at here. Alright, now I'm going to start bringing my PNG files over from my other tab. So I'm going to do Control C, Control V from that tab, and I am going to crop this down so that it doesn't have all that extra white space around the sides. I'm going to crop in really tight. The closer I crop, the easier it will be to center. Okay, and you'll notice that when I drag this up over the red lines, it starts to cover up the red lines. We don't want that, so it's all about putting it in the right layer order. So I want the image to be on the very bottom, and I want the red cut shapes to be on the top, so that we don't start crossing the white corners into the red lines. So just make sure your image layer is on the bottom and that your red cut lines are on the top. Now I'm going to the second image, and that's the engraving that's going to go on the back. So I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and then once again I'm going to right click, crop, and I'm going to bring in my little handles super close to that. I don't want any extra white space on the sides, and I also don't want to cut off any of my text. I hit enter to complete the crop. I'm going to go make sure I have my black selection tool, make it bigger, and then make sure it's perfectly centered, and then also just make sure that you're not crossing over into those red lines at all or obscuring them. And we should check our alignment to be perfectly centered horizontally and vertically. So those are the easy parts. Now the next part is just a slight bit trickier. So I'm going to get that silhouette image that it's going to be a logo, but it's also going to be a cut shape. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop in yet again, get rid of all that extra white space. So right click, crop, drag in the handles until you're super tight on that black and white silhouette of a logo. Hit enter. And this time, so that's going to go in the middle, but this is important. I don't want an image in the middle because I want to turn it into a cut shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Image Trace, Make and Expand. So it's going to vectorize this logo, and then I have to ungroup it because it just vectorized it in multiple layers. And so I'm trying to find the layer I want and delete the ones that I don't want. So I'm going to click, and you'll see that there is a little blue line. That's what I want. See that blue line? Or actually, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to keep just the black outline. And if I get rid of the fill and I give it a yet again red stroke, or just black for right now so you can see it, it doesn't really matter. So you'll see that I took that image and I created an outline around it. I'm doing a circle over here in the middle. These are all cut shapes. So remember, red, eventually anywhere you see red, that's going to be cut. Black is raster, engrave. Colors don't really matter so much at this point. I'm going to drag it out so that this vectorized shape is cutting across my circle, and then I'm going to make sure that it's perfectly centered on the circle. And if I select the circle plus the hands or the logo this time and make sure it's nice and centered, I'm going to do Pathfinder minus, which is going to subtract the hands from the circle. I'm going to go get rid of the fill, and then under the stroke, I'm going to make sure that it's red. Remember, once again, red means cut. Any red will do for now. These are things that, once again, I'll be changing as I get ready for the laser cutter. You've got your center cutout of your medallion. You've got your logo. You've got your title, and you've got your inscription. These are two layers. They will be glued on top of each other. So now I'm going to make sure that I export it as an SVG file. And then finally, of course, all you got to do is email it to me, and then I'll be ready to cut it for you.